Have you ever stopped for a moment, looked at your life and asked yourself, am I doing okay for my age? Maybe it was after climbing a set of stairs, playing with your grandkids, or even just standing in front of the mirror. Sometimes those thoughts sneak in, don't they? We start to wonder whether we're slowing down too much, or if we're still living the kind of life that feels full, joyful and strong. And I want to tell you something right at the start. If you're 65 or older, and you can still do a few simple but powerful things, you're not just okay, you're winning at life. See, age has a way of tricking us into thinking the best days are behind us. Society doesn't help much either. Too often, messages about growing older are wrapped up in decline, loss, and limitations. But the truth is very different. The truth is that being 65 or 75 or even 85 can be one of the richest and most rewarding chapters of your life, if you know what to hold on to and what to celebrate. And today we're going to talk about 7 things that are like quiet little victories. If you can still do them at this stage, you're already ahead of the game. Now let's start with something that seems so basic we often overlook it. If you can still get up in the morning without feeling like your body is holding you hostage, that is a victory worth celebrating. Think about it. Being able to swing your legs over the side of the bed, stand up and move into your day with a sense of independence, that's not something everyone has. I know people in their 40s who groan and complain every time they get up from a chair. So if at 65 you can rise and shine, maybe stretch a little, maybe make yourself a cup of coffee without needing someone else's help, that's not just a small thing. That's life reminding you that you still have strength, you still have freedom, and you still get to shape your day the way you want. And here's the part many of us forget. Our bodies are always listening. They respond to how we treat them. If you give your body even small amounts of regular movement, like walking around the block, doing a few stretches while the kettle boils, or bending down to pick up that grandchild who runs into your arms, you're telling your body, I still need you, I still value you, and the body, remarkable as it is, often answers back with energy, flexibility, and resilience. So the first quiet victory is movement, being able to get up and move through the world under your own steam. But let's not stop there. The second thing that tells you you're winning at life at 65 is your ability to truly enjoy the little things. You know, somewhere along the way, younger people rush through life chasing promotions, bigger houses, shinier cars, and then one day they look up and realize they missed out on half the joy. But at our age, we know better. We know the real treasures are sitting on the porch with a cup of tea, hearing birds chatter in the trees. They're in the laughter of a family dinner, or even in the quiet of a good book at the end of the day. If you can still sit down and let yourself feel genuine delight in something simple, a flower blooming in your garden, the smell of freshly baked bread, a phone call from a friend, then you've mastered something that so many never figure out. That's not just happiness, that's wisdom. Because you understand that life is not measured in big events, it's measured in small everyday joys. And the ability to notice them, savor them, and feel grateful for them is a superpower. I remember talking to a gentleman about 72 who told me that he starts every morning by sitting at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee, watching the sun rise. He said, I used to rush out the door, never even noticing it. Now it's my favorite part of the day. That's the kind of appreciation that makes your days fuller, no matter how old you are. And if you can do that, if you can pause and find joy in those little things, you're not behind in life, you're ahead of almost everyone. Now, I know some of you watching might be thinking, well, I can move around, and I do enjoy the little things, but does that really mean I'm winning at life? And I say absolutely yes, because winning isn't about comparing yourself to the 25-year-old who can run a marathon. It's about recognizing that your ability to stand tall in your independence and smile at life's simple pleasures is proof that you are still deeply alive. And if you're enjoying this conversation so far, I'd love for you to go ahead and click that like button. It helps me know you find this content valuable, and it also helps more people just like you, discover these uplifting reminders. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos that speak to this stage of life with honesty, warmth, and positivity. So far, we've talked about the power of movement and the beauty of savoring small joys. But there's another victory, one that is just as important, maybe even more so, because it doesn't depend on your body. It depends on your mind. If at 65 you can still learn something new, you're living proof that age doesn't define ability. Think about how many people, even when they're younger, stop learning. They decide they're too busy, or they convince themselves they're not smart enough. But here you are watching a video, maybe picking up new ideas, maybe teaching yourself to cook a new recipe, or even trying your hand at technology that once felt intimidating. Every time you open your mind to new knowledge, you're keeping your brain sharp, flexible, and alive. Science tells us that the brain thrives on novelty, on being challenged. So whether you're learning a language, practicing a hobby, or even just figuring out how to use that smartphone your kids gave you, you're feeding your mind in the best way possible. That ability to adapt, to stay curious, to never stop growing, that is one of the clearest signs that you're winning at life. And let me tell you, there is no age limit on curiosity. You might not remember every little detail like you used to, and that's perfectly normal. But the willingness to learn, to keep moving forward mentally, is what matters. I once met a woman in her late 80s who had just started painting. She told me she had never touched a brush in her life until then, and yet she found so much joy in creating colors and shapes on canvas. Her eyes lit up as she showed me her work. That's what it means to stay alive on the inside. So if you're able to keep your body moving, your heart open to small joys, and your mind curious and willing to learn, you are already living a life that many would envy. These are not just habits or traits, they are victories. They are proof that you're still deeply connected to the gift of living. Now that we've opened the door to the power of movement, the joy of simple pleasures, and the beauty of a curious mind, let's go a little deeper into what really makes life feel full at 65 and beyond. Because life isn't just about the physical or even the mental, it's also about the heart, the connections we build, and the way we choose to show up in the world each day. One of the most powerful victories you can have at this stage of life is the ability to maintain meaningful connections. Think about it. Friendships, family ties, the warmth of a neighbor's smile, these aren't just nice extras, they're the very threads that weave the fabric of a happy life. If you can still pick up the phone and call someone you care about, if you can sit down over a cup of tea and share a laugh, if you can walk into a room and feel that you belong somewhere, you're already richer than many who are half your age. You see, loneliness is one of the biggest struggles people face as they grow older. But if you've nurtured relationships, if you've kept your heart open, you've built yourself a kind of safety net. And it doesn't have to be a huge circle. Even just one or two good, reliable connections can make all the difference. The truth is, connection feeds the soul. It gives us energy, it gives us purpose, and it reminds us that we matter. I remember hearing from a woman who said that the highlight of her week was having lunch every Wednesday with her best friend. They'd been doing it for over 20 years. No matter what else happened, aches, doctor's appointments, even tough days, they had that time carved out. She said it wasn't about what they ate or where they went. It was about being seen, being heard, and laughing together until their cheeks hurt. That's what it means to be alive. And if you're someone who maybe feels a little isolated, don't lose heart. Connections can always be rebuilt. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as saying hello to a neighbor, joining a local class, or even striking up a conversation with someone at the library. The point isn't how many people you know. It's about letting yourself feel connected, letting yourself share pieces of your life. Because if you still have that, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Another quiet victory, one that often gets overlooked, is your ability to contribute. At 65, many people think their days of being useful are behind them, but nothing could be further from the truth. Contribution doesn't have to mean a full-time job or a big project. It can be small, simple acts that remind you and the world that you still have something valuable to give. Maybe it's sharing wisdom with your grandchildren or volunteering at a local community center. Maybe it's baking cookies for a neighbor or tending a garden that brings beauty to the people who pass by. It might even be as simple as offering a kind word to someone who looks like they're having a tough day. Every time you contribute, every time you give a piece of yourself, you're proving that your presence in the world still matters deeply. And here's the beautiful part. Contribution doesn't just help others, it fills you up too. When you know you've made a difference, even a small one, your heart feels lighter, your days feel brighter, and you carry yourself with a quiet pride. I once met a retired teacher who spent her mornings reading to children at the local library. She told me, I may not be standing in front of a classroom anymore, but my voice is still shaping young minds. Isn't that incredible? She wasn't paid, she wasn't in the spotlight, but she was making an impact. That's what contribution looks like. And if you're sitting there wondering, well, what do I have to give? Let me tell you, you have more than you realize. You have years of experiences, lessons learned the hard way, stories that can inspire, skills that younger people might never have seen before. You are a walking library of life. The trick is simply finding ways, big or small, to share that with others. Now, let's talk about something that might sound a little surprising, but is absolutely essential to winning at life after 65. It's the ability to laugh at yourself. Yes, you heard me right. If you can still find humor in your mistakes, if you can giggle at the fact that you walked into a room and forgot why you came in, if you can look in the mirror and smile at the little quirks that come with age, then you are far ahead of the game. Laughter is medicine. We've all heard that saying, but it's more than just a nice phrase. Laughter lowers stress, strengthens the immune system, and fills your days with light. And the best part, it doesn't cost a thing. When you can laugh at yourself, you take away the sting of embarrassment. You stop taking life so seriously, and you give yourself permission to just be human. I remember my grandfather once tripping over the garden hose and landing on his backside. Instead of getting upset, he burst into laughter, saying, "Well, at least the tomatoes had a good show." That moment has stayed with me for years, because it showed me that aging isn't about losing dignity. It's about embracing life with grace, humor, and a touch of mischief. So if you're able to stay connected with people you love, to contribute in ways that make you feel useful, and to laugh at yourself when life throws you a curveball, you are not just surviving at 65, you are truly winning. These victories might not make the evening news, but they are the foundation of a life that is rich, fulfilling, and worth celebrating. And before we move on, let me just remind you again to tap that like button if you're enjoying this message. It really does help spread positivity to more people who might need it. And subscribing means you'll always have a space here where growing older is seen for what it truly is. A chance to keep thriving, keep loving, and keep laughing. We've already uncovered some of the most beautiful victories you can hold on to at 65, the freedom of movement, the joy of simple pleasures, the spark of curiosity, the gift of connection, the power of contribution, and the healing magic of laughter. But there's one more victory, one that ties them all together, and it might just be the most important of all. It's the ability to feel peace with yourself in your journey. Think about that for a moment. After all the ups and downs, the challenges, the triumphs, the mistakes, and the lessons, if you can look at yourself and feel a sense of acceptance, you are living a life well won. Peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It doesn't mean you've never made choices you wish you could change. It simply means you've learned to breathe, to let go, to trust that you've done your best, and to live the days you have now with gratitude instead of regret. At this stage, many people spend too much energy looking backward, replaying old mistakes or comparing themselves to others. But peace comes when you realize that your worth isn't measured by what you've lost, but by what you've lived. Every wrinkle, every scar, every gray hair carries a story. And if you can embrace those stories instead of fighting them, that's when you unlock a kind of freedom no amount of money can buy. I once spoke with a man in his 70s who said something that struck me deeply. He said, "When I was young, I thought winning at life meant climbing higher than everyone else. Now I know it means learning to sit still and smile at where you are. That wisdom is hard-earned, and it's something that can't be rushed. If you can sit on your porch, close your eyes, feel the breeze, and whisper to yourself, 'I am okay, I am enough, I am right where I need to be,' then you've reached a level of victory that very few ever discover. And here's the beautiful part. Peace doesn't mean the end of growth. It means you've given yourself permission to keep living without pressure, without judgment, with a heart that's open and a spirit that's light. You still try new things, you still laugh, you still connect, but you do it without the weight of proving yourself. You've already proven enough simply by being here, still standing, still shining, still carrying hope. So let's take a step back and look at this together. At 65, if you can move with independence, savor the small joys, keep learning, stay connected, contribute, laugh freely, and rest in peace with yourself, you're not just getting older, you are truly winning at life. These victories may look simple on the surface, but they are the foundation of a rich, meaningful, beautiful existence. And the best part is, They don't require you to be perfect, wealthy, or extraordinary. They simply ask you to show up, to stay open, and to cherish the gift of being alive. And maybe as you're listening, you've realized that you already have most of these victories in your life. Or maybe you've realized there are one or two areas you'd like to nurture a little more. Either way, it's never too late. That's the wonderful thing about being human. We are works in progress until our very last breath. So give yourself the grace to keep growing, to keep loving, and to keep embracing each day as it comes. I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. You are not behind. You are not less than. You are not running out of time. You are here now with so much life still in front of you. And that is enough. Every day you wake up, you get another chance to move, to laugh, to learn, to connect, to give, to enjoy, and to find peace. That's the real definition of winning. If this message has resonated with you, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me, what's one thing you're grateful you can still do at this stage of life? Your words might inspire someone else watching who needs a reminder of their own victories. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to like this video and subscribe. It's a small way to keep spreading positivity, encouragement, and truth about what it really means to live fully after 60. So here's to you, to your laughter, your wisdom, your heart, and your journey. May you keep moving with grace, savoring the little things, learning with curiosity, connecting deeply, giving generously, laughing often, and resting in the peace of who you are. Because at 65 and beyond, if you can do those 7 things, you're not just surviving, you're winning at life.